I think can everybody
Yes,
hear
a
me?
bit poppy.
Yep. All good. Wonderful. My name is Lionel Naidoo. I'm the director and co-founder of a business in information systems. We're an IT managed services business, and we specialize in helping small and medium businesses with technology challenges. I'm going to spend just a second just bringing up another presentation, if that's okay. Thank you. This morning, thank you for attending. This morning I'm going to introduce a product called Microsoft Copilot, or Copilot for Microsoft 365. So most of you have heard of ChatGPT, right? How many of you heard of or has dabbled with Microsoft Copilot? Fantastic. So most of you know a little bit about it. You may have seen Microsoft's blurb out there, may have even tried to use it. And it's only until last month licenses became publicly available. Some of you who have been in big enterprise, who have been part of the early adoption program, may have already had some experience in using Microsoft Copilot. But Microsoft Copilot is the AI assistant now under or powering most of the products found in the Microsoft 365 suite that most of us use. Anybody not use Microsoft 365? Okay, just one person. So it's a good start. The platform shift to AI is well underway. I think we all have understood that this morning. And just as customers turn to technology to help them to make the shift to remote and flexible working, they're now turning to Microsoft to help them understand how this new era of AI is going to change work yet again. We've long relied on data to help us understand where this work is going. And now we do that through the Microsoft Work Index. Some of you may or may not have heard of the Microsoft Work Index. That tells us exactly how productivity is being used within businesses. And then we use productivity signals from Microsoft Graph, and also labor market trends from LinkedIn. Most of you know that LinkedIn is a Microsoft company, so there's lots of data aggregation to be able to get us to this work trend index. So what we found, based on the research Microsoft's conducted, 64% of employees don't have enough time or energy to do their work. You all agree? Right. The primary causes of this time and energy drain are things like searching for information and navigating inefficient meetings. Employees reported spending 60% of their time on communicating, coordinating, and leaving just 40% of time for doing creation, deep thinking, and collaboration tasks. We all experience the volume of data, emails, chats, that's just completely outpaced our ability to process all this stuff coming at us every single day. And every minute we spend on this thing called digital debt is a minute we're not spending being creative. Okay, and we know that creativity nowadays is the new productivity. Digital debt is more than just an inconvenience. It's really starting to impact on business. Nearly two in three people say they don't have enough time and energy to do their job. And the same employees are more than 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation and strategic thinking. So I think we saw a slide earlier from Andy talking about adoption. But this is now not an adoption to 1 million users, this is an adoption to 100 million users. It took the mobile phone 16 years to get to that point. It took the internet 7 years to get to 100 million adopters. Facebook, it's been around for a long time, took them 4.5 years. ChatGPT, 3 months to 100 million adopters. Absolutely phenomenal in terms of technology adopted. It is the fastest rate of adoption ever experienced on the planet. So Microsoft released this fantastic product called Copilot, okay? Your AI-ready assistant at work. So Copilot is being branded as a product that can unlock productivity, unleash creativity in the for millions of people who use the Microsoft 365 application stacks of Word, Excel, Teams, PowerPoint. So this presentation is quite video heavy because I think the videos really encapsulate exactly the point I'm trying to get through. So let's have the first one.
Whoa. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still gas for the auto. Oh, foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like Lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't ever do it, okay, how's this? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Okay. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way to snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
Brilliant. There we go. So that was a quick demo of how Microsoft is pitching Copilot for Microsoft 365. I will go on later to show you how Copilot is used in some of those individual applications to show you how you can become more productive. But Copilot for 365 combines the power of the large language model. So this is ChatGPT. It then combines that with Microsoft Graph. And those of you who don't know what Microsoft Graph is a gateway application that Microsoft makes available where it allows you to index all the information you store within the Microsoft ecosystem. So that's emails, chats, SharePoint, Loop, Teams. All of that information is made available to the large language model using this technology called Microsoft Graph. Then that technology goes on to underpin the Microsoft 365 stack and all the applications within that ecosystem. And it's then combined with the power of referencing data out on the internet. So what does this mean? It means you can be more creative in Word. You can be more analytical in Excel. You can become more expressive in the PowerPoint slides that you develop. More productive in Outlook to help you manage your day. And of course, more collaborative when you're using Microsoft Teams. So here is just a quick list of the popular products that Microsoft Copilot sits behind. That's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and this new product, Microsoft Loop. Anybody using Microsoft Loop at the moment? If you aren't, there's a really great product in the Microsoft stack that allows you to collaborate with team members on new ideas, new projects, brainstorming, that type of thing. And secondly now, Copilot is built on Microsoft's comprehensive approach, firstly to security, to compliance, privacy, and responsible AI. So what am I saying? We're not going to get Terminator 1 or Terminator 2 coming out the back of this technology, right? This is purely designed to help you become more productive and efficient at work. So here's a very quick overview of the mechanics of the Microsoft Copilot system. It's fairly straightforward, but let's have a quick look.
Microsoft 365 Copilot is powered by what we call the Copilot system, a sophisticated processing and orchestration engine. It harnesses the power of three foundational technologies: the Microsoft 365 apps, that's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and more. The Microsoft Graph, that's all your content and context, your emails, files, meetings, chats, and calendar. And a large language model, or LLM, a creative engine capable of parsing and producing human-readable text. All accessible through natural language. It starts with a prompt from you in an app. Copilot pre-processes the prompt through an approach called grounding. Put simply, grounding improves the quality of the prompt, so you get answers that are relevant and actionable. One of the most important parts of grounding is making a call to the Microsoft Graph to retrieve your business content and context. Copilot combines this user data from the graph with other inputs to improve the prompt. It then sends that modified prompt to the LLM. You may be familiar with what an LLM can do based on your experience with ChatGPT or Bing Chat. Copilot takes the response from the LLM and post-processes it. This post-processing includes additional grounding calls to the graph, responsible AI checks, security, compliance and privacy reviews, and command generation. Finally, Copilot sends a response to the user and commands back to the apps. Copilot iteratively processes and orchestrates these sophisticated services to produce a result that feels like magic.
There we go. I hope that made a whole lot of sense in terms of how, when you ask Copilot to perform an action for you, what happens behind the scenes. Okay? So all of this allows Copilot to save you time, energy, get more work done, and most importantly, generate innovative ideas. Okay? I'm going to introduce Microsoft 365 Chat, which is the evolution to Bing Chat. If any of you have been playing with Microsoft's AI system, Microsoft Bing Chat has now become Microsoft 365 Chat, which is underpinned by Copilot. So here we go. Here's a demo on Copilot and 365 Chat.
Introducing Microsoft 365 Chat, a powerful new capability in Microsoft 365 to solve your most complex problems at work. Let's say you're a marketer at a national chain of home improvement stores and you need to get the latest on the store opening. You start your day with Copilot, asking what's hot in your inbox today. It does some thinking and gives you an overview of the most pressing items. Great. Looks like the new store opening plans could use your attention. Let's dive in deeper there. Copilot combs through all your recent emails, chats, documents, and meetings, whether you attended them or not, to get you up to speed in moments. It didn't just summarize a single document, it knew what sources to pull from and what information to extract from each. Next, you need to do some market research. Let's say you want some details on square footage and the proximity of competitors to your new location. M365 Chat scours the web, and within seconds, it finds everything you're looking for. And it includes references, so you can easily fact-check the results. You're curious, how does this stack up against the other stores you opened in the past year? Copilot figures out which stores you mean, crunches the numbers, and gives you the answer. Next on your to-do list, finalize the date and speaker for the opening event. You missed the last meeting, and this might have come up in the conversation. Copilot's got you covered, getting you up to speed in seconds. Looks like it was a dynamic discussion, and it's your responsibility to make the final decision. To do that, you need to understand all the factors at play, including the implications they have on your grand opening timeline. Copilot extracts the relevant details and puts them in an organized table, which helps bring the full picture into view.
That's crazy. Okay. So now we're talking about all the content you engage with, all the people you engage with, all the documents you write, all stitched together in one place where you can get some genuine answers. And that's how the Microsoft 365 Chat is poised. It's poised to sit on top of everything that you do, which is over and above using Microsoft Copilot within the singular applications, which I'll go on to show you now. Okay, so let's check out Copilot in Excel. And what it allows you to do, and briefly you'll see in this video, it allows you to analyze trends and create professional looking data virtualization in seconds.
You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. But you want to drill in. You ask Copilot to follow-up question about one of the trends. Copilot creates a new sheet, helping you better understand what's going on with this customer. You ask Copilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. Copilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now you want to dig deeper and ask a follow-up question. Copilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model of the scenario. And even asks if you want to learn more about what it did, with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. Copilot turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
There you go. As you've witnessed, Copilot in Excel. What does it do? It puts all those rich capabilities of Excel at your fingertips. Zero learning. You ask the question, and it gives you that functionality. It generates models based on the questions that help you explore your data without modifying that data. So suddenly you become the numbers person, right? So let's now take a quick look at Copilot in PowerPoint. So have you ever had that feeling of having just low creativity and you're looking for that kind of little bit of inspiration, right? You sat there thinking, I don't know how I'm going to tackle this. I don't know how I'm going to make this look impressive. So let's see what Copilot in PowerPoint can do.
Now let's say you're getting ready for your customer pitch meeting. Everyone is at a moment when they wish they could turn their proposal into a customer-ready presentation without having to start from scratch. Well, guess what? Now you can. Using just your own words, Copilot can translate Word into PowerPoint, and it can also translate PowerPoint into a Word document. Now you have a professional-looking presentation that you can hone and polish. Let's say you want to add a slide. Give Copilot some quick instructions. There it goes, ready for you to review. So this slide is too wordy. Let's ask Copilot to make it more visual. I'll give it a few seconds. And check this out, Copilot can even animate the slide. It gives it a professional design treatment in a single click. But it doesn't stop there. Copilot can even generate speaker notes. No, I'm serious, speaker notes. It's not only a time saver, it's helping me be a better presenter and close this deal.
Completely remarkable. I couldn't do that in that time. Hands up. I just could not do it. Copilot becomes your storytelling partner. Okay? It transforms these existing written, boring documents into fully complete decks of presentations with speaker notes included. As you saw, it can start a new presentation from a single prompt or outline, all with the ease of natural language, just talking to it. Okay, so we're turning these words into genuinely productive outcomes. Okay, so Copilot in Word is the next one I want to introduce to you, and it transforms every part of the creative process. And it's, any of you experience a product called Designer in Excel or Word? Okay, so it's a new product. But Microsoft now is incorporating Designer with Copilot. Okay, so Copilot uses the context of your content to propose stock visuals in the chat, and it can upload and customize your own images for a more personal touch. Okay, so let's have a quick look at this one.
When you've written a paragraph in shorthand, you can highlight it and click Rewrite. Copilot then offers several alternate options to choose from that are all written professionally. And it can translate wordy or complex paragraphs into digestible visualized tables. You can even use Copilot to add a column with extra data, which it can complete automatically. Copilot also makes you the expert on any document. Simply ask a question about the content, and Copilot will provide a concise response.
There we go. So even if you're writing a document and you're sitting there thinking, well, what are the questions the target audience going to ask? You can ask Copilot to see if your document will return the results that people are looking for, just by asking it whether it meets those audiences' needs. Right? Extremely powerful stuff. And I left the best for last, really, and that's Copilot in Teams, because everybody's using Teams at the moment. So imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What do? You choose one or the other normally, don't you? But what if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting and summarize what you missed. Okay? So let's have a quick look.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting. After the meeting ends, Copilot will summarize what you missed. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. This recap will highlight content that was shared, summarize notes, and any action items for you or others whose names were mentioned. You see that one of your customers was discussed, and you want to learn more. You can ask Copilot clarifying questions, and it provides a detailed response. It can tell you why a certain decision was made, and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered, and it provides citations from the transcript so you can see where Copilot drew these conclusions. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool. But the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize the meeting so far. You can see how it summarizes who said what, what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. And as the meeting progresses, you can check in on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions are unresolved. It's just amazing to see this happen in real time during a meeting.
Okay, I'm going to unpack that a little bit more. Okay, so anybody got experience with recap in Teams? Okay, so if you're a Teams user and you have a Teams professional license, you have the ability, or Teams has the ability to provide a recap of a meeting that you attended. So that's about transcribing the meeting, making some meeting notes, and creating some action plans. You saw a little bit of that. What Copilot does is takes that one step further. It takes that meeting recap, it takes the transcription, it takes the video, it takes the presentation, and makes it available as a resource that you can query. So this is a meeting you've not attended. Points were made and questions were asked. It asked decisions about customers. It was even able to give you the sentiment and feeling of the other members that contributed in that meeting. Okay, this is going back to large language models and the tone, sentiment, so it's even able to detect. So if I said in a meeting, I'm not quite sure whether we should spend £1 million on this project, okay, it will pick up the unsurety or the sentiment of my unsurety within that sentence. So it's becoming really, really powerful. So this is the intelligent recap. So if you are a Microsoft Teams premium user, you have this ability already. So intelligent recap is a great way, it's a great experience to get you started, and it's built around, and it's an automated tool for everybody. So any of the meetings you attend, you could have this assistant creating this recap for you. And then when you power that with Microsoft Copilot, you can get so much more value out of it. So I'd like to provide a bit of transparency as to how Microsoft is exploring the business value that's coming out of Copilot, and that's done through understanding its value, all of value, its value by workflow, and its value by role and function. Okay. So users were surveyed in the Microsoft Copilot Early Access program. As I mentioned before, for about 6 months, it was under an early access program. And Microsoft decided to do a robust survey to understand what was the sentiment. And this is what they learned. They learned for users using Copilot for meetings and drafting documents, overall they reported that their productivity gains and time savings consistent with the productivity and gains that the developers experienced when they were developing the product. So what does that mean? Copilot users were more productive and they were able to complete their work faster. Copilot improves on the quality and the creativity of the work output. And Copilot is shifting how users spend their time, most critically. We also wanted to understand how valuable Copilot was to employees. And early users that worked with Copilot told us that they didn't really want to go back to working without it. And here are some of the stats. 77% didn't really want to give it up at all. And most people said they would rather have access to Copilot than a free lunch every month. Right? And 30% of people even say that access to Copilot would influence their employer. Okay, so this is how powerful AI is now becoming. So how do you get started? Okay, you can get started by using the free version of Copilot. It's generative AI and you can chat to it online by going to copilot.microsoft.com. Secondly, if you are a Microsoft 365 user already and you have an E3 license, an enterprise license, you get the free version, but you also get an element of data security around that, which means that if you're using Copilot with work information, so anything that's IP protected, then Microsoft will guarantee the confidentiality and the data security around that. And thirdly, you can use the Microsoft fully fledged product, here we go, which is Copilot for 365, that embeds itself in all your products and applications that you're using from Microsoft, and references all the data stored within your Microsoft tenant. So all your emails, chat, documents, presentations, and company information. And those are the 3 versions of Copilot available at the moment. So I'm just going to do a quick deep dive on how the data is protected. Copilot is an AI-powered web chat with commercial data protection. That's the key thing, commercial data protection. Copilot does not save your chat prompts, and Microsoft does not have eyes-on access to your chat data. Okay? And crucially, the prompts and the chat data you provide into Copilot is not used to train the AI model that Microsoft uses. So complete data protection being offered at the back of it. And it's a great step for customers who want to introduce AI into their organization in a very, very safe way. Okay, so if this is your first dabble in productivity, this is the way you want to go about doing it, because you know that that data is completely secure and won't be leached. So there we go. That's Copilot in Microsoft 365. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? All right, go for it.
So it can access all of your files?
All of your files stored in your Microsoft tenant.
Okay, within your tenant. Okay, so I'm the CEO of the business. I have a senior leadership team.
Yeah.
We have a dedicated SharePoint site where we can all access that information, but nobody else in the business can access that. So if I rolled out Copilot across all of my staff, and theoretically it has access to that data, could my staff find out information that's in the management drive? Is that something that could come out?
So there's a little bit of work we need to do. The premise of the Microsoft Copilot system is to produce results that a person has eyes-on access to. So what do I mean by that? If I'm a user in an organization and I have read-only or the ability to access a folder, what Microsoft Copilot does, you ask the question to Copilot, Copilot goes to Graph, generates results, goes to the large language model, but crucially, before that data is sent back to you, it goes back to Graph to see whether you have the necessary access to that information. And if you do not have access to that information, it will not appear in the results. Okay? So if you're not part of the senior executive team or the board, it will not show you results from that data subset. But the key is to lock the data down before you embark on that journey.
Sure,
yes.
Yeah. Permissions in place across.
Absolutely. So Dragon IS as a solutions provider has a Copilot practice that we help create that readiness before you go and turn on Copilot for everybody within your organization, so we check that the checks and balances are met. Anything else?
A silly question, probably. When it's interpreting the data from like the meeting, it's like if you missed a meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
Does it differentiate the language used? So if you're looking at a live meeting, then things like swear words and stuff like that people might use to express, and then it's capturing a point that someone made. Is it then presenting it back that way to say that I said that's effing unbelievable or whatever?
It's transcribed, but it's not regurgitated. So it's redacted. So the sentiment is carried, but the actual word's redacted. Right? So it's almost kind of a little bit of business cleansing that goes on.
So I've been a user of Fireflies for a while, which does a similar thing, but it's not part of the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it has its quirks, joins meetings that I'm not even in, and people are like, what is this thing that's just joined the meeting? So my question is, there's an option there to follow a meeting.
Yes.
I can't make that meeting, but I really want to know what was discussed in that meeting. So I hit follow. Those people who turn up to that meeting, are they aware?
They're aware you're following it.
Yeah.
You do not appear as an avatar, as one of the members actively participating in the meeting, but in the meeting itself, under the description, we all know that Matt is following the meeting.
So, and is it really obvious? Now, the reason why I ask is, workplaces can be political places.
Yes.
And colleagues that aren't there physically in the presence can be talked about. And is there a risk within organisations that we create clashes where people don't realise but this thing's listening to them. And I think it's an educational thing potentially, and that's why it's really, really important.
So you, in that meeting, will be listed as an attendee.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very, very prominent that you are, although you're not physically there, the contents of that meeting will be made available to you. And that's done by various different mechanisms. That meeting is recorded. So when you join a Teams meeting and you hit the record button, it lets people know you're being recorded. Okay? So by virtue of the fact that it's held in this way, people are made aware that A, that meeting is recorded, B, the meeting is transcribed, and it's got some absent people that are actually in that meeting as such.
So you need to give everybody a pseudonym then?
Well, yeah, okay. Chief Whip Cracker.
I've used the Firefly application in some meeting, and some of the stuff it comes out with is absolute nonsense.
Yes.
Hilarious as well.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really kind of get my Northern accent, because maybe I need an interpreter, but you know. Some of the
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to see how Copilot works within the Teams environment. It's phenomenal. I'm not just saying it, but honestly, it is phenomenal.
I can't stand Teams. I think it's just too grumpy. But whether there's an application with this, is there a link or plug-in to the CRM system like HubSpot, Salesforce, also Microsoft Dynamics, particularly where I might get an opportunity as from a client? I don't want to have to copy and paste into all the different spreadsheets. I want to be able to respond at point A, point source from email.
So I'm not too sure about the specific the specific plugins, but I know that a plugin for Dynamics is currently being worked on. Okay, and I think that's called Copilot Sales for Dynamics, and that's something that soon will make its way as a plugin. So although it's Copilot, that's basically Copilot for Dynamics, but Copilot for Dynamics will work its way into if you license for it, it'll work its way into integration into Teams.
Yeah, I think you mentioned one point that was very interesting for me, that is responsible AI.
Yes.
Because I can see many ways that this Copilot can go on. Like, for instance, I also might start querying, are my employees productive? Are they actually querying good enough? Are they swearing? Or can you go for the legal? Like, an employee just make a complaint, they say, this is all the evidence that you have no reason for this, things like that. I don't know what's the framework of responsible AI that you understand this, and how do you see this going, maybe that could be prevented in the long run?
Okay, so that's slightly a bit of an ethical question here, but that's actually out of the remit of responsible AI, and I'll explain to you why. Responsible AI is really about the governance around the way AI is developed as a product, is developed as a technology. What you were talking about actually is addressed by another product is the product we've been talking about, Microsoft Graph. So if anybody's aware of the Microsoft ecosystem, Graph already exists. So everything that happens within meetings, within emails, within anything that happens with your 365 tenant, you are already capable of asking Graph via an API those questions you've been asking already. So the ability to be able to understand productivity and understand what's going on in an organization has been made available now for a very, very long time, and is already available in the Microsoft Graph AI. Okay, so those kind of specific questions is not really an AI type question. It's more about what kind of data can I query that sits within the Microsoft ecosystems. So that's the transcription of the meetings and people swearing and using bad language and all of that stuff. That stuff you can get already by querying the Microsoft Graph AI, which is outside the remit of AI, right?
What I meant is the responsible part is when AI takes the decision of firing people or something, because this could be an autonomous task of the future.
Yep.
You might, I suppose, want to have a report every month of lower productivity, and then the AI takes the decision to tell you this employee is not performing, but then the criteria might be obscured for the boss.
I can see where that's going, but that's one more it's more of a legal challenge, that one. And it's a thing we're all facing at the moment about automated decision-making processes. So if you've delved into GDPR, for instance, there's already regulation that says how you can use AI and automated, or how you use the automated decision-making process. So whether that decision-making process is rules-based, so you're applying for a credit card, okay, do I turn you down based on a rules-based automated decision-making process? It's no different to an AI automated decision-making process. So that framework already exists. It's whether and how businesses choose to operate within that framework, right? Just because it's there doesn't mean you're allowed to use it or whether it'll stand up in court, right? Because there is already an existing platform that exists to regulate that kind of area. Sorry, just one other back, Chris.
Sorry. So from an Outlook point of view, there are two parts to this question, I guess. One, could a manager who has oversight of a shared inbox analyse average response rates of the teams to kind of manage that kind of performance? And secondly, could it analyse over the course of, say, 12 months, the amount of touch points with a particular client so that you could see this is how much time we're spending on the client, this is how much we charge you the amount of resource required?
Okay. The answer is yes and no. It's not an exact science. If you wanted to know in Outlook the number of touch points, for instance, the number of conversations spent with Andy Paul, it will give you that and quantify it in terms of the number of conversations. What it's not going to track is how long you spent writing that email or how long you spent conversing in that trail. You'll get an idea of flutter, of activity, but what you won't get is necessarily that specific metric about the amount of time it took, okay? Sometimes a response, you could have 15 responses that took 1 minute, or you can have 3 responses that took 3 hours, okay? It's not going to differentiate at that point, that specific metric you're looking for.
Got a question?
Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah.
The licensing, do you need $30 a month to do all of this stuff you're talking about with the transcribing from meetings, joining, the bot, joining a Teams meeting, or
yes.
is that available? Oh, okay,
Nope.
so it's not available in
No.
M3.
Worth pointing out, it's an annual license.
Yes, it's not paid monthly.
Right.
It's annual.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
But ask yourself the question, for $300, 250 quid, okay, for an entire years of AI assistant, would you be able to buy that anywhere else? Okay, I sat with a customer and put a presentation together, a 10-slide presentation on something very, very specific to their industry. It took me 15 seconds to prompt, and it took another 15 seconds to develop. And the customer's response to me, because that would have taken me personally more than 2.5 hours to put together myself. So in one instance of the use case of the application, we've demonstrated return on investment, right?
No, I thought it was $30 a month. Which,
Yeah,
makes it
annualized.
Thanks.
With the gentleman to the right there about quantifying something, actually in the metaverse, you could actually put payment based on in the metaverse, and it exists as a business environment. So you don't have to leave this place and tell the client directly. It's premium. You have your 15 minutes like consultation. So that technically already exists. It's just not a Microsoft, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just adding on that, is there an extension to non-Microsoft applications? Is there a plan potentially for that to open up for other tools and applications? Is it just Microsoft?
At the moment, it's all in the Microsoft ecosystem, simply because to leverage the transmission of the data in and out of the various different bits that make up that ecosystem, it needs hyperscale environment. So your data has to be within an appropriate data environment for it to be handled. There's already a bit of talk on linking hybrid, if you have a hybridized environment, so you might have a server with a data store locally. There's talk about Microsoft maybe creating a semantic index of that data so you can reference it. Sorry, you were going to add a point to that.
That's exactly what Amy does. So
Yeah.
one of the big problems with adopting Copilot is that it's focused on the ecosystem of Microsoft. So if you want to ask a question and it needs input of data that's in SAP or Salesforce or those kind of things, you need to get that information into the graph.
Yeah.
So Amy's product set deals with building that index and answering those questions out regardless of ecosystem. But one of the things that we're also talking to Microsoft about is being able to build that index and then feed the graph with that
Yeah.
information. So there are things that are coming. but you do have to consider with Copilot as it stands right now, the information is in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah. So it's an exciting time because the stuff Amy is doing is now will allow you to take different data sets. So bespoke CRM applications, for instance, might be something you really want to throw Copilot at. But how do you get that information into Microsoft Graph? And Amy is the people to speak to when you're trying to do that kind of thing. Cool.
Just, I know most people in the room are using Microsoft, but it is worth pointing out that then Google are doing this as well.
Yes.
It's very similar. Someone mentioned Bard earlier. It's actually
Gemini
now.
Yep.
As of early this week, wasn't it? Or late last week? Yeah, early this week. So yeah, it's one to keep an eye on as well. If your workspace users or Google users, similar, very similar concept, but it's obviously on their suite of tools.
Absolutely. There we go. Any more? Thank you very much.